What's up, movie fans? Welcome to More Movies Weekly, number 49.
Docket entry number 49, that's in the Gagan case.
Welcome to the show. My name's Greg Fisher. His name is David Roberts, and this is the podcast where we like to talk about the movies we've been watching, any movie news, cinema-related stuff, things like that. You know the score. How's it going, Dave?
I'm pretty damn well, sir. I'm pretty damn well. And yourself?
I'm not too bad either, my friend. We've got lots to talk about this week, so let's get straight into it. So this week we have been watching a couple of new movies. The first one is Ambulance, which stars Jake Gyllenhaal. It was directed by Michael Bay. And the second movie is Uncharted with Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg. So let's get on with the first one first and talk about Ambulance. Dave, start us off.
Well, I think this film itself needs an ambulance. It needs resuscitating from its poor depth. Call 999, call 911. It's absolutely a pile of crap. It's a turd floating along the ocean. It's, yeah.
Wow, sounds good.
It sounds great, doesn't it?
We got Jake Gyllenhaal in the lead role, one of our favourites here at More Movies. It is based, I think, on a Danish film from 2005, which I haven't seen, but looks kind of fun. So let's try and sort of break it down, what it's about. It's there's two brothers, and they're not actually real brothers. One of them is kind of like was adopted. The other brother is played by Yahya Abdul Mateen II. He plays Will. Jake Gyllenhaal is Danny. So Will's wife is ill. She needs an operation. He hasn't got the money to pay for it. That old trope. So he goes to see his brother or his stepbrother or whatever you want to call him and say, I need your help. I need some money. And it just so happens that they're going on a bank heist that very morning. And as Will is like ex-special forces, he says, come along, and you can have more than you need. You can have as much as you want. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a criminal. Dad was a criminal, and I don't want to go there. And it's like, all right, their dad was this like infamous bank robber. So anyway, he manages to persuade him to go along with it. So that's happening. At the same time, we have an ambulance crew. There's Cam. She is played by Isa Gonzalez, and her partner Scott, played by Colin Woodall. And they are basically ambulance crew going around Los Angeles trying to help people. So, you know, we're flitting about here. It's classic Michael Bay style. One of the things that struck me straight away is you've got this accident that the ambulance crew have to attend, which is basically a car crash, isn't it? A car has crashed through some railings. Then we get into the car to see what's happened, and there's a 6-year-old girl with a massive spike through her chest. And she's there, I'm scared. Oh, don't worry, we're going to save you. What the hell, man? Who does that?
Who does that? Nobody does that. Idiots do that.
So yeah, I just it felt like an episode of Casualty to me. I think opening up with a silly accident such as that seems like the kind of thing they do in Casualty, to be honest.
For any listeners or viewers that are watching from America, Stateside Casualty is like a British TV show that's basically it's like ER or something, isn't it? It's like a medical show. Like Dave says, always starts with an accident and then we follow on from there. Yes, I agree with you. It was very much like that, but I couldn't believe that. You know, who puts like a 6-year-old girl with a spike through her chest and it's just like tasteless, completely tasteless from the very start. So anyway, that's going on. So we basically get to know the ambulance crew. So Jelly Bean manages to persuade his brother to go along on this heist, which happens to be in the center of Los Angeles. Who robs a bank in the center of one of the world's most prominent and biggest cities? You know, right in the middle, right next to where the police building is and everything. It's just like, all right, okay.
Well, that was the thing as well, because it was like it seemed so empty. And you're like, this is in the middle of Los Angeles in the middle of a working day and there's no one around.
Yeah.
It was just so stupid.
Very stupid. So we're getting Die Hard vibes. We're getting Heat vibes. Very much so. But at the same time, we're getting all the Michael Bay vibes because we've got these silly drone shots that keep repeating themselves where the drone is flipping over and then zooming down onto the street level. Completely extraneous and pointless kind of cinematography going on. You got all those low angles as well where it's like basically from the point of view of an ankle looking up. I just don't get that.
Half-headed behind things, you know.
You got some
things
nice dolly
obscured.
shots mixed in with terrible handheld shaky cam sort of style shots, which just don't go together, don't knit very well together. Awful.
Yeah.
So
it was so nauseating, the camera work. It was just like, it was like motion sickness. Cause
I think the idea is to like build this tension and get this sort of frenetic energy going, but it's just a mess.
Yeah, it doesn't work because it's not done cleanly.
A complete mess. Yeah, and it's not done without any thought, without any film grammar or any of that. It's just done for the sake of itself. Awful.
Sounds fucking awful.
Things start to go awry. Everything busts out loose. Again, massive Heat vibes because they have this like big shootout then in the middle of the Los Angeles street. And I think it was trying to sort of emulate that iconic scene from Heat, which everybody loves and says was realistic. And this was like the antithesis of that. The only thing that was similar to it was a battle in the streets of Los Angeles. But if you looked at the two scenes, there's like Heat, that's how you do it. Michael Bay's Ambulance, this is not how you do it.
Oh, it was awful. It made no sense.
No one got shot for about 10 minutes.
No one got shot. I mean, even just them getting into the bank, none of them are wearing masks. So why would you be robbing a bank without putting masks on and hiding your identity? You know.
Yeah.
One of them turns up in flip flops just to act cool. Because this is a Michael Bay movie. Everyone's got to be cool.
Mm.
Everyone's got to be, you know, something. They all rock up. Then they have a massive shootout in the bank against the police, and there's loads of police. There's a police tank and all
SWAT
these
team.
SWAT teams and everything. Yeah, there must be
FBI show
a
up.
couple of hundred police outside shooting away. And they're like stormtroopers in Star Wars. They couldn't hit a barn door.
I thought the robbers were the same as everybody's letting off these automatic weapons and no one gets shot. I think the
Thousands of
first
rounds.
person to get injured was the guy with the flip-flops on who gets run over.
Yeah.
And he gets like run over by a truck right through his midriff. And we see him afterwards and half his body's squashed. And he's still talking. He's like, "Whoa, what did you do to my legs?" And you're like, "What?"
Oh, no,
He's
man.
just had his guts blasted through his bum hole, and he's complaining about the state of his legs. Oh, it was supposed to be funny. It wasn't even funny. It was just like, this is
ludicrous.
ridiculous. And we're not even half an hour into the movie at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway, obviously the heist goes awry, but they do get away with the money. But most of the crew is getting taken out at some point by the cops. People do eventually start to get shot. So Jilly Bean and his brother have to escape, and basically this ambulance crew that we've seen at the start is just around the corner. And basically Jilly Bean and his brother end up hijacking the ambulance and escaping with it, with the cop that's in the back that's been shot by one of them. And then it turns into like Speed, sort of like, you know.
Yeah, very poor attempt at Speed, basically. Isn't
Like
it?
they've got to keep. And it was reminding me of the old O.J. Simpson chase where they're going up the freeway, but they're only doing about 30 miles an hour. And they've got about an army of cops behind them.
And then it's just literally an hour and a half of the ambulance on the move and every ridiculous scenario you could think of that Michael Bay would come up with in an action movie.
Plus loads more
Somehow.
characters. We get then the FBI guy comes in.
Oh, yeah.
And the other guy, the police SWAT guy or special operations, fucking, I don't know what he is, anti-bank robbery team or something like that. He gets involved in it. And you got all of these like
His dog.
got all of these supporting characters. Yeah, the dog is just thrown in there for comedy effect, but it's just a wasted joke, you know?
This is the dumbest Grand Theft Auto video game nonsense that's just ever come about. It just made no sense, any aspect of it. Every time it was like a facepalm of, what?
When we said we were gonna watch this film, I'd seen a few things online saying, "Oh, Ambulance is really good. It's insane. It gets a little bit crazy." And I thought, "Oh, what's this? Jake Gyllenhaal, something about an ambulance. Is he an ambulance driver? There's a robbery involved. Sounds like it could be interesting. Let's have a look at it. And then when we put it on and it was like a Michael Bay film, I thought, oh, yeah. Oh, and I remember now. It's a Michael Bay film. So, I shouldn't be surprised that it was so goddamn awful. And it really was.
Yeah, I was very surprised because I'd seen the praise for it. For some reason, it's got quite a bit of praise from critics and audience alike, which I don't understand after watching it. But because of that, I kind of went in thinking, oh, maybe has the impossible happened and Michael Bay's kind of gone back in time and done something more akin to his films from the 90s, like The Rock or Armageddon or Bad Boys, that were better films than his, more recent work. And, maybe he's done something, maybe he's achieved something, and we'll be surprised and we'll go, oh, it's great. And boy, was I wrong and disappointed about that. And it just, from every moment, I mean, the worst thing for me, is the camera work that was just so nauseating and moving. The colours, it gives all ridiculous oversaturated colours. Ali had this weird green tinge at the beginning, and he was doing all these swoops and moves that just made sense. And the most frustrating is that because he was using drones and GoPros and shaky cams, and none of the footage matched in quality.
Mm.
They kept on flitting between various qualities of camera footage. So that was really off-putting. The performances were terrible. The dialogue was stiff. It was so obvious, everything. It was like every trope in the Michael Bay handbook coming back to play again and
well,
again.
look at that. All of those films we've already mentioned. Heat, they're trying to do Die Hard, trying to do a bit from Speed, a little bit of Lethal Weapon in there. All of these kind of great, iconic action movies from over the years. They're trying to sort of slice off a little sliver of that and make some sort of tasty sandwich with it. And really what you end up with is a dog shit burger.
This is a tasty burger.
Terrible film. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, especially if you're going to go and pay your hard-earned money to see it. It doesn't even work as, it's a fun spectacle. It's just so bad.
Yeah.
And I don't understand people who are sort of standing it really and saying, no, it's all right, it's good fun, it's a little bit crazy. It's like, no, you can do this sort of movie that you don't have to think about too much, is just a thrill ride, is just a lot of fun. You can do that sort of movie without it being this bad.
Yeah, there's been far better, aimless action movies in the last couple of years than this. I mean, Wrath of Man is far better than this, and that's nothing special, but it's got a little bit of something to it. This is just, yeah.
It's a thumbs down.
Definitely.
So the second film we've watched this week was Uncharted, directed by Robert Fleischer. It stars Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, Antonio Banderas, just to name a few. This is based on a video game. It's PlayStation Productions. Got a bit of a shock seeing that at the start, I can tell you. They're kind of trying to do a sort of Marvel/DC sort of ident at the start as well. And I thought, is this the start of many, many more PlayStation video game movies we're going to see? Probably is. So I wasn't expecting too much from this. Basically, for anyone who's not familiar with the game or the movie itself, it is kind of a Indiana Jones / Da Vinci Code sort of treasure-seeking, mystery-solving action movie. And that's all it is. It's got our very own Tom Holland in it as the central character. His sort of like mentor character, I suppose, in it is Mark Wahlberg. And basically they go off to find a haul of hidden gold, which takes them from New York City all the way over to Barcelona, Spain, and beyond, trying to find this, basically like the Goonies, isn't it? It's an old pirate ship, or well, not a pirate ship, it's meant to be Magellan's ship.
The Magellan Expedition,
yeah,
yes.
But it's kind of like a pirate ship. It's that sort of age. And they find they've got to find the ship that's basically packed with gold, and there's all these mysteries to figure out on the way, and like the Indiana Jones kind of thing. It's not a great film, but having just watched Ambulance before it, that made this film seem like a breath of fresh air.
No, I mean, I watched it before I watched Ambulance, and so it wasn't like the palate cleanser to that as it was for you in a way. But I kind of went in not expecting much because I think we were a little bit disappointed by the trailer. It was like, what is this? And I wasn't expecting too much. I thought, then I came out thinking, actually, this is not too bad. It's nothing amazing. It's not special or anything like that, but it's an enjoyable little romp. It's silly, but it's good fun. It did remind me of things like the Da Vinci Code, but it's much better than the Da Vinci Code, which is a terrible film. It's got all the indie vibes, which you kind of expected, because that's what the game is. Maybe because I haven't played the video game and I don't know much about the video game apart from the brief overview of it, that I enjoyed it more than, because I think some people who enjoyed the video game have got problems with it, fans of the franchise. But I think it was pretty enjoyable. The action was fun. Tom Holland was great.
He was great in it. He was really good fun. I mean, this is a guy who's playing Spider-Man at the moment, and he got to do a lot of Spider-Man style stuff, the kind of parkour, free running, swinging from the ceiling and in places. And there's a lot of sort of stuff in there where you think he's perfectly cast, because all of those tricks and stunts he's learned to do being Spider-Man have come into play for him in this one. So, it's entertaining in that sense. There's lots of good set pieces. There's a good bit of comedy in there. The worst part about it for me was Mark Wahlberg. I thought he just dialed in his performance. His character, Sully, in the game, he is a bit more of a sort of wisecracking, older mentor sort of character, and a bit more of an entertaining sort of like bit of comic relief. In this film, he's just a douchebag. It's just not a very likable character at all, a bit of an asshole. And I don't think he sold it at all. There was a lot of quite funny dialogue for his character that the jokes just didn't come off because of his delivery. I think it was very flat, and it was just like, let's get on with this. I've got to get to the gym at 4:00. Let's wrap up for the day. That's how I felt he was acting in this film. So it was a bit disappointing. I would have liked to have seen a better actor in that role. But it didn't spoil the film. It didn't. No, it wasn't that bad that it was like, oh. But
I didn't think he was great, but I didn't think he was terrible either. I think it was just vanilla for me. His performance, it did enough to make it go along, and that was about it. I never really found any of it. I guess they were trying to inject humor into it. I never really found any of it funny. But it was just light-hearted enough, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
I think there was maybe a couple of moments I giggled, but it was mainly like Tom Holland doing something, or
Yeah, but there's supposed to be this banter between these two characters, and I think the reason you didn't find it funny was what I've just said, is that Mark Wahlberg didn't do a very good job of being funny, of delivering those lines. He's just like this kind of, like you said, vanilla guy that's just like, yeah, whatever, I'm a bit selfish. Yeah, I don't really trust anyone. That's me. There was no depth to it at all. But
yeah, I think the very worst section of the film is the kind of bit that's iconic. It's been in the trailer. It's what starts the film. It also happens about 2/3 of the way through, roughly, in the third act. Is the kind of and it's taken directly from the video game. The Effin's been let out of the plane and all the boxes are hanging off, and Tom Holland's character is climbing off it, and that was the worst in terms of special effects and whatnot. It was definitely that was the worst part of the film, which is strange because that seems to be the bit they've obviously spent the most time on. It's the iconic scene, and that was a bit of a shame. It seemed a bit silly and it looked bad, and
but as I say, after watching Ambulance, it wasn't that bad. I think if I'd have watched this first, I probably groaned a bit, and then I watched Ambulance and thought, "Oh my God, what's happening here?" But because I watched it the other way around, I don't think Uncharted didn't seem so bad, But if I was at a cinema and I just turned up and I wanted to watch something, I didn't know what, I just went to see what was on, and there was Uncharted there and Ambulance there, I'd go. My advice is go and watch Uncharted.
Yeah,
unless you want to see something so bad that you're just gonna, laugh all the way through at how terrible it is, then go and see Ambulance.
Yeah, I think I say Uncharted. It's an enjoyable little adventure. It's one of those kind of, you could put it on a Sunday afternoon and you'll all watch it and it'd be absolutely fine. I'm sure the kids will like it, and
yeah. It's definitely family friendly. There's nothing. I mean, there's a little bit of violence in it here and there, but nowadays the standard of that, I suppose, is kids are used to seeing people like getting their throats slit and things like that, which is just the way it is. It's got Antonio Banderas in there as a sort of like one of the bad guys. He's always good to see Banderas.
He's always great, isn't he? I think as well. I like the aspect of like the treasure hunt they're going on with the keys and all the into the church and hiding around. I quite like all that kind of stuff. If you're into video games like Broken Sword or Tomb Raider and stuff where they kind of touch on these mythologies, I quite like that. So if you're into that, that's quite a fun aspect of it as well. Yeah. Enjoyable enough.
It wasn't terrible.
Better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a strange thing to see Ambulance rate so highly on something like Rotten Tomatoes, but then look at Uncharted and it getting pretty lukewarm to poor reviews in a lot of places. I don't get that. It would be the other way around for me. It'd be like Ambulance, absolute flat tire, rubbish. Uncharted, that's pretty good. Pretty good fun.
Yeah. It's the wrong way round.
World's gone mad, Dave. So last week we were talking about James Hong getting a star on the Walk of Fame, Hollywood Boulevard. And we also mentioned a few of the other people that have either got a star recently or are due to be given one in the near future, such as Carrie Fisher, posthumous star, and stuff like this, which led us to talking about who's got a star and who hasn't. I said we'd pick it up this week. We'd test your knowledge to see if you knew who's got a star or not, or just as like an interesting little point, I thought we'd play Star or Nah. Okay, my friends, well, I've got 20 names here in front of me, and basically all I want you to do is tell me whether they have a star or nah. It's quite a simple game, but let's work through it and let's see. Obviously, people who get these stars, they're given out for television, for music, for movies. We're obviously interested in the movie element of it here, even though the first name I have on the list is a music star, but somebody who's made a foray into making movies a few times, so we can kind of include her. Has Madonna got a star or not?
I'm going to say nah.
You are right. She has not got a star yet. And considering she's such a famous icon of music, and they do give them out for music as well as for film, so she could have 2 stars, because some people have got 2, got one for television, got one for movies, got one for music, got one for,
It's greedy, isn't it?
It is. Some people have 2, but Madonna doesn't have one at all. I mean, to get one of these stars in the first place, you have to be nominated by people. Then you have to be selected by a committee. And then the third element to it is you have to actually agree to have the star yourself. So there's a little bit of a process that might explain why some people haven't for one reason or another. But no, Madonna hasn't got one. So you're right there. Okay, next name, George Clooney. Star or not?
I'm going to go with nah.
You're absolutely right. George does not have a star on the Walk of Fame. Quite surprising, considering the Cloontang.
Well, at this point, my client is still prepared to consider reconciliation.
Yeah, I just had a gut feeling that as an actor who's still active, that he wouldn't be getting one yet, and his character. But of course, we saw the weird thing last week that Michael B. Jordan's getting one, and he's a really young actor who hasn't done much. So maybe that logic doesn't always apply. So
I don't think it applies at all, because if Jason Momoa and Michael B. Jordan are due to get a star, but poor old George Clooney hasn't even got one yet. What is going on? Anyway, let's move down the list. Our next name is Denzel Washington. Star or not?
I'll go with star. Come on, he must have one.
I'm afraid not. He's another nah. Denzel
That's
Washington does
shocking.
not have a star on the Walk of Fame. It is shocking. Absolutely terrible. Godzilla has a star. Denzel does not. Can you even believe it?
I'm appalled at that.
I'm appalled at it also. Okay, the next name is one of your favourites, Leonardo DiCaprio. Star or nah?
No,
Why'd you say that?
I don't know. I've got a feeling he hasn't got one yet.
He hasn't. He hasn't got one. He didn't have an Oscar for years. He finally got one in the end for his performance in The Revenant. Maybe he'll still get a star in the future. Who knows? But he doesn't have one for the moment. How about his co-star in one of your favourite films, Titanic, Kate Winslet? Does she have a star or not?
I'm going to say star.
She does have a star. Well done, Dave. She got one in 2014, but her famous co-star in Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio, he doesn't have one. She does.
It makes no sense, does it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Kate Winslet having a star makes sense, but...
Yeah, but one without the other, he's the bit that's like, at this point in their careers, Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows how these things work? Okay, what about Angelina Jolie? I mean,
I'm going to say star.
I'm afraid not. She's no star. No star for Angelina. Can you believe it? Of all those stars that bedeck the sidewalk of Hollywood Boulevard, no Angelina Jolie. How about her husband, Brad Pitt, though? What about him? I mean, it's Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Star.
No. Can you believe it?
Oh,
Neither of them have a star. Brad and Angelina, Brangelina, one of the most famous power couples ever to have walked the streets of Hollywood. Neither of them will be finding their star on the Walk of Fame at the moment because neither of them have a star. Crazy. All right, then, here's a big name for you. What about Clint Eastwood?
Oh, Clint,
He's been going for some time now, 90-odd years.
I think I've got a star.
Like a sort of sheriff's badge star,
Probably.
maybe
It
the
should be,
only
shouldn't
one
it?
he's got because he hasn't got one on the Walk of Fame.
Really?
And that was one of the
Wow.
most shocking ones for me. I mean, the
That
guy
is
has been
really
making
shocking.
movies, since, way back when.
He's
One of
almost
the most-
dead.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the most famous sort of American icons, but no star on the Walk of Fame. We're starting to
terrible.
question how famous this Walk of Fame is.
Yeah, it seems starting to seem like it's the B list of stars, doesn't it?
The Michael B list, Jordan. Okay, what about George Lucas? I mean, famous for Star Wars.
Oh, he's got to have one, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he doesn't. He's a non.
He doesn't.
Can you believe it?
So
No star for
R2-D2 and C-3PO and Darth Vader have
It seems like
stars.
Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill's got one. Like we just mentioned, Carrie Fisher is due to get one in the next 6 months or so. But George Lucas, no. It's a bit like what we said last week about Francis Ford Coppola. Only got one last month in March. No George Lucas yet. Quite crazy, that, isn't it? All right, then we'll stick with the directors. What about Quentin Tarantino? Star or not?
Nah.
He hasn't? You don't think?
No, I don't think he got one.
Well, he has. Can you believe
Yes.
it? Tarantino has a star on the Walk of Fame.
What?
He's a Los Angeles native. That's his own. It's his own town. He's Hollywood born and raised, and you can bet your ass he's got a star. I mean, come on, it's Tarantino. We may be shocked to find out George Lucas hasn't got one, but
It's not that
Tarantino
it's
has.
undeserved, but it's like for Francis Ford Coppola to only just be getting one and George Lucas not to have one, and then the young buck of Tarantino to have one. It's just like, what the is going on?
I think he'd be pleased to know that you called him a young buck, seeing as he's like 50 odd years old. But
compared to the
compared to Francis Ford Coppola, I suppose he is. All right, then what about probably arguably the most famous Hollywood director of them all, Steven Spielberg? Has he got a star?
He must have. Come on,
He has got a star.
Thank God.
You're right there. Now that really would be something.
It would.
No star for Spielberg, but Michael B. Jordan's got one. Jason Momoa's got one. What is going on? Yeah, but you'll be pleased to know he has. All right, then. Yeah. What about, let's go with some actors again now. What about Al Pacino? Star or nah?
You never know if Coppola, but let's go star.
He doesn't have one.
He doesn't. This is just appalling. This is like...
You can walk the length and breadth of Hollywood Boulevard and you will not find an Al Pacino star as yet. Unbelievable.
It's shocking, like one of the best actors of modern times, and just
All right, here's one of the other best actors of all modern times, as you put it. Christopher Walken, star or nah?
I don't even know what to think anymore. I'm going to go star.
No star for Christopher Walken, I'm afraid. Can you believe it?
This is like the most pointless tourist attraction ever. Then there's no one there of any merit.
What about James Earl Jones? Let them wait. I'm talking to my son. One of the most amazing, velvety, chocolatey voices ever.
I'm going to go nah.
He hasn't. No star for James Earl Jones. This is disgraceful, isn't it? It's absolutely disgraceful.
It is an absolute disgrace.
Considering the amount of time he's been working, and voice of Darth Vader, Field of Dreams, Coming to America, all these great movies. No star for James Earl Jones. All right, back to directors. John Hughes, famous for The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And all
I hope he has.
Movies.
Let's go star.
No star for John Hughes.
No star.
No. The poor bugger has been dead for years and they still haven't even given him a posthumous star.
That is shocking, isn't it?
It's crazy. I cannot believe it myself. What about Robert Redford? There we go. A massive icon of cinema, Robert Redford. Star or not?
Let's go star.
No star. No star.
No star. Oh.
I'm just enjoying your despair. The fact that
it is like, what's the point of this place? What is?
No star for Redford. Either he wasn't selected, or it wasn't nominated, or he just didn't want it, or he didn't have the 55 grand spare. He pumped it into some indie.
I'm sure Robert Redford could come up with 55 grand. I mean, come on.
All right, let's try another Robert De Niro.
I'll go nah.
You're right. He's got no star. No star for De Niro.
Shocking.
One of those,
and De Niro both not present on. It's oh my god.
Not present on the Walk of Fame. Not famous enough for the Hollywood's Walk of Fame. Probably two of the most iconic stars of the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Have to sit with George Lucas on the substitutes bench, just off Hollywood Boulevard, Beverly Hills Parade or wherever.
It makes you want to open your own Hall of Fame, doesn't it? And
what about Mel Gibson?
Watch him have one star.
There's some justice in the world. Mel does not have a star. There's a big dog turd on Hollywood Boulevard, which kind of represents him.
Put a little flag in it and
Mel's face on it. Okay, just a couple more to finish off. Jim Carrey, star or not?
I'm going to say star. What's this be the one that has it?
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
No star for Jim Carrey. How much money has he made Hollywood over the years in his...
a lot of money.
A lot of money. A lot of money. Maybe it's because he's Canadian. They don't like Canadians. I don't know.
Well, that wouldn't surprise.
But he doesn't have one. And a last name on our list, because we could go all day here, but the last one is Will Smith. Star or not?
I bet he's got one as the star.
Can you believe he hasn't got one either?
He hasn't.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did have one, it'd be taken away after recent events.
Digging up the pavement. Get it out of here. No, he doesn't have. I mean, it is surprising, despite recent controversies.
It is, yeah.
He's still one of the biggest stars to have come out of Hollywood in the last 20, 30 years. No star for Will Smith. I don't think he's going to get one now either.
No, he'd be on the naughty list for a while, wouldn't he?
Well, there we go. Only 3 stars in our list of 20 names there. All the rest of them were no star. Can you believe it? That makes sense.
Baffling.
How did you do at home? Did you play along? Let us know in the comments. Well, thanks very much for watching or listening to the show this week. We really appreciate you turning up and spending this time with us. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you thought of the video or the audio file, whichever format you're partaking in. Why not join us on social media as well? We are at More Movies For You on most of the platforms. So come and have a chat with us on Twitter, or you can come and have a live chat with us on Discord. Come say hello over there. It would be great to hear from you.
Absolutely. And if you enjoy what we're doing and you'd like to support us, why not hop on over to buymeacoffee.com and you can buy us a coffee there, make a little donation, or jump over to Patreon where you can also join us and make a little donation as well. We really appreciate all your support.
Well, that's it for this week, Dave. Any final thoughts before we go?
Well, just don't watch Ambulance, watch Uncharted.
Go and watch The Northman. Probably better than both of them. Join us again next week for number 50 special episode. Thanks very much for joining us this week, and we hope to see you again. Keep watching more movies.
That's it for this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And remember to like, share and subscribe right here on YouTube. For more film reviews and articles, check out our website, moremovies.co.uk. And join us on social media at More Movies For You. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all across the board. You know the score. If you enjoy what we do, please consider supporting us at buymeacoffee.com or join us on one of our packages on Patreon. The links are in the description down below. And for more filmtastic content, click one of the buttons on screen now.